All right, everyone, buckle up. Today, we're rocketing into the fascinating world of space tourism. Remember when it was just a sci-fi fantasy? And
Yeah.
hold on to your helmets, folks, because it's happening. And it's bringing some serious ethical questions along for the ride. Luckily, we've got this incredible analysis breaking it all down, so ready for a deep dive.
Absolutely. It's truly remarkable how space tourism, once a distant dream, is now a tangible reality. And this shift brings a whole new set of considerations to the forefront.
You know, it's not just about strapping in and blasting off anymore. It's like,
Mm.
who gets a seat on this rocket? And what's the cost? Not just in dollars, but to our planet. I mean, you can book a trip with companies like, what, SpaceX or Virgin Galactic,
Mhm.
but be prepared to empty your bank account. Like, seriously, empty. We're talking millions here.
Millions, indeed. It's an almost unfathomable sum for most of us. And it underscores the glaring reality that space tourism, at least for now, is a playground reserved for the ultra-wealthy. It really makes you think. Should we be sending a select few to space while we're grappling with immense challenges right here on Earth, like poverty and climate change?
It almost feels like, I don't know, a bit of a mixed message, right? Shouldn't we, like, prioritize getting our act together down here before we start building luxury condos on Mars?
That's the heart of the ethical debate swirling around space tourism. Critics argue that the vast resources channeled into space tourism could be better allocated to address those pressing global issues. Proponents, on the other hand, contend that this early investment, even if it is driven by the wealthy, will eventually lead to more affordable space travel, benefiting everyone in the long run.
Okay, so it's like that classic argument that any new technology starts out pricey but gradually becomes accessible to the masses. But then again, we've seen plenty of examples where that hasn't exactly panned out, right? Take healthcare or education, for instance.
You raise a critical point. Past trends don't necessarily guarantee future outcomes. We need to be cautious about assuming that the trickle-down effect will automatically apply to space tourism. Careful analysis and ongoing evaluation are crucial.
For sure, for sure. And while we're on the topic of things uh, trickling down, how about the whole environmental impact? I mean,
Right.
rockets are essentially gigantic fire-breathing machines, right?
Yeah.
What's all that combustion doing to our atmosphere? It can't be good.
It's definitely a significant concern. Just to give you an idea, a single Falcon 9 launched by SpaceX releases about 300 tons of CO2. Now, there is promising research into sustainable fuels like methane and hydrogen. These alternatives could drastically reduce emissions compared to traditional rocket fuel, which is a huge step in the right direction. But scaling up to meet the potential demand of a flourishing space tourism industry, well, that's a whole other challenge.
Okay, so we got carbon emissions on one hand, but then there's all the other stuff we're leaving up there. It's like space junk. Like, imagine if we just started chucking our trash into the sky instead of taking it out to the curb.
That's disturbingly accurate. Every used rocket stage, every defunct satellite, every single tiny piece of debris from past collisions, it all adds to this expanding cloud of junk orbiting our planet. And with more launches, the risk of collisions skyrockets. And if things start crashing into each other up there, it could set off this insane chain reaction of impacts. We call it the Kessler syndrome. And it could make space unusable for generations. Not to mention the threat to the satellites we depend on for communication and navigation down here.
Whoa. That's that's a bit more intense than I initially thought. Sounds like we need some kind of, I don't know, cosmic traffic cop up there
Yeah.
to keep things from going completely haywire.
In a way, that's what international agreements and space law aim to do. We need effective ways to manage space debris and guidelines for responsible space practices if we want to avoid the Kessler syndrome.
All right, so we've talked about the cost, the hefty price tag, and the environmental footprint. But there's another layer to this whole space tourism thing that's really got me thinking, the philosophical angle. Remember Star Trek? Remember how space was this grand frontier all about exploration, collaboration, pushing the boundaries of human knowledge for everyone's benefit. But when space becomes a tourist destination, doesn't it kind of lose some of that magic? I don't know, am I being too sentimental here?
Not at all. It's a valid concern, absolutely.
Yeah.
It brings up this crucial question of commodification. Are we turning space, this awe-inspiring, seemingly infinite realm, into just another commodity? A place where the wealthy can sip cocktails in zero gravity and take selfies with the Earth as a backdrop? Does that fundamentally change our relationship with the cosmos?
I mean, I can already picture those space-themed resorts, with infinity pools overlooking the Milky Way.
Yeah.
But you're right, it feels like it takes something profound and turns it into, I don't know, something a little less meaningful.
Precisely. And it raises legal and ethical questions as well. Think about the 1967 Outer Space Treaty. It declared space a common heritage of all humankind, not subject to national appropriation. But as commercial interests gain momentum, there are legitimate concerns about how that principle will hold up. Imagine private companies staking claims on asteroids for mining operations or building exclusive space habitats. It's a far cry from the spirit of international cooperation that characterized early space exploration.
Right, right. It's almost like we're taking the same inequalities and, I don't know, exploitative tendencies we see here on Earth and just projecting them onto a cosmic scale. Not exactly a stellar track record, huh? So what's the way forward? How do we make sure space tourism benefits all of humanity, not just a select few?
Well, one idea gaining traction is inclusive innovation. Imagine a scenario where governments and companies mandate that a portion of space tourism profits are dedicated to, say, funding research into clean energy technologies or supporting global education initiatives.
Wow, that would be huge. It'd be like turning space tourism into a catalyst for positive change here on Earth. It could really flip the script on the whole exclusive playground narrative.
Exactly. It could be a powerful force for good. And it loops back to those environmental concerns we discussed. We need strong international agreements that set clear emission standards for space travel. We need to enforce responsible practices for dealing with space debris. And we absolutely need to prevent the militarization of space. These are all crucial pieces of the puzzle.
So it sounds like space tourism is standing at this pivotal crossroads. It's brimming with potential inspiring discoveries, technological leaps, even contributing solutions to global problems. But it also has the potential to amplify existing inequalities and create a whole new set of issues if we're not careful.
You've hit the nail on the head. The choices we make today, right now, will shape the future of space exploration and humanity's relationship with the universe for generations to come. No pressure, right?
Huh. No pressure at all. But seriously, folks, it's a lot to think about. And that's what we want you to do. As you reflect on this deep dive, we leave you with this. What kind of future do you envision for space? What role should it play in our collective story? Let's strive for a future worth reaching for, one that benefits all of humanity. That's what it's all about, right? Absolutely. Couldn't have said it better myself. Well, that about wraps it up for today's deep dive. Until next time, keep looking up.